Hello world, Alu here again, and today I'm going to be telling you about the top 5 underrated children's movies in the world. Okay, maybe not in the world, but in America. I want to bring attention to these 5 movies because 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, every kid is going to know what Frozen is. Every single child will still know it. My unborn children know what Frozen is already. I really want to bring attention to these movies that people forget over the years, and I don't want them to fall into oblivion, like that oblivion in Inside Out where all the memories fall and fade away and go away forever. That's so depressing. So let's just dip right into it, shall we? Number 5, Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Now this is a Disney movie that was released in 2001. It got 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's fairly low when it came to the critics. This is the story of an explorer named Milo Thatch who inherits a special book that basically tells him how to find the lost city of Atlantis. So he gathers a crew, they go to this lost city, they finally find it, and he meets one of the native Atlanteans, Princess Kiragakash, or Kida for short, and hijinks ensue. So I'll say the parts I really liked about this movie. The animation was great. They experimented a lot with the 3D animation, and they had very, very multifaceted characters. Probably one of the most diverse Disney films that I've ever seen as far as the characters and their different backgrounds and backstories. This movie came out in 2001, so I'm just wondering what made this movie flop. I'm not quite sure, but one of the things could have been that the exploring theme and the whole native taking of land theme either went over children's heads or it was a little too close to the movie Pocahontas. Side note, when people compare the movie Avatar to Pocahontas, I'm like, no, no, no. Avatar is literally Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Same movie. And Dances with Wolves. And Fern Gully. But that's neither here nor there. Another special movie came out in 2001, and it was called Monsters, Inc., and that killed the box office. Monsters, Inc. has a 96% score on Rotten Tomatoes, so came out the same year. It definitely swept that whole category. Even though it is a Disney Pixar film, it did sweep that category as far as the Disney of the Year movie. Number 4, Road to Eldorado. Now this is an amazing movie in my opinion. I think it was spot on, almost a perfect film about these two explorers, Miguel and Tulio and Miguel, mighty and powerful gods. Okay, I kind of skipped forward a little bit there. Miguel and Tulio are from Spain, and they are these two con artists who want to find the lost city of gold, Eldorado. And I guess it's kind of similar to Atlantis: The Lost Empire, except Road to Eldorado actually came out a year prior in 2000. They win the map in a dice game, which they cheated. They finally find the lost city of Eldorado and they meet a native there, Chell. So it kind of is the same thing as Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I never really thought about it that way. This movie, in my opinion, was much better than Atlantis: The Lost Empire. You had songs for one, and this is a DreamWorks movie, it's not Disney, so you had all these songs back when DreamWorks was really doing the 2D animation and doing it well, and oh yes, the peak times of DreamWorks were the early 2000s. This movie got 48% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is appalling. I can't understand. This movie was freaking perfect. It had humor, it had the right amount of comedy, it had the right amount of sadness. It very much played out almost like a Disney movie as far as the formula went, and I think it's very beloved by people who are my age today. So, why didn't it do well? My guessing is that it had some themes that weren't exactly that appropriate for children. They do say hell in the movie, they say get the hell out of here, they do have a sex scene in the movie that's kind of, when I saw it when I was like 10, I was like, whoa, they put that in a kids movie? But yeah, so that's my only thought of how it could possibly have been overlooked, because it maybe word spread that it wasn't fit to be seen by children and that it was a little too mature. Number 3, Anastasia. Now, I talked about this movie in my last video, and I just love it so much. It's such a good movie. It's another one that I think is up there on par with Disney movies. With it's a Don Bluth film, as I said before, and I think it's on par with the Disney formula. It has your princess, your prince, quote unquote, your funny side characters, your songs, beautiful songs. Dancing bears, painted wings, things I almost remember, and a song someone sings once upon a December. Someone holds me safe and warm, horses prance through a silver storm, figures dancing gracefully across my memory. Somewhere down this road, I know someone's waiting. Years of dreams just can't be wrong. Arms will open wide, I'll be safe and wanted, finally home where I belong. Well, starting now, I'm learning fast on this journey to the past. Pally holds the key to your heart, and Oula Pally plays the part. We'll stroll 2 by 2 down what we call Wahoo, and soon old Perry will be singing to you. Ooh la la, ooh la la, ooh la la. It had everything you needed for a strong children's movie. So this movie came out in 1997 and got an 86% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty high. So we all agreed that that was a strong movie. It was a great movie. At the time, I think it have its run. However, 1997, that was a peak time for another little studio called Disney, who were releasing a lot of blockbusters at the time, and not to mention a lot of blockbusters that came from other studios. So that's my only reasoning behind it. It just fell under the cracks because the early to mid 90s were such a monumentous, if that's even a word, time for animated movies. And it just got swept under the rug. It was loosely based on a real occurrence, so maybe we just weren't ready for that at that time. Number 2, the 2008 movie Bolt. Bolt is another movie that I just thought was perfect, and it gets swept over so much just for no reason. It's the perfect movie. You have Bolt, who is a dog actor who doesn't know he's a dog actor. He thinks he's a real super dog, as in the show that he is in with his girl Penny. So he doesn't know that he's not a real super dog. So he finds himself in New York City and has to find his way back to LA to get to his girl Penny. And I'll spare you the spoilers, but it's a great movie. It's a great dog movie. It's a great family film. It has a little bit of cheesy comedy, but it has a lot of very LA comedy that if you live in LA or have experienced Hollywood, there are jokes that you'd be like, huh, that's so true. But I just thought it was a perfect movie. Bolt got 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Even though it got that high on Rotten Tomatoes, it was basically snubbed at the Oscars, and ugh. And if you ask people today, most people are like, oh no, I haven't seen Bolt. Bolt? What's that? So why don't people remember Bolt? I think there's 2 reasons. One, it was when the movie Bolt first came out, it was around the time where Miley Cyrus was just kind of starting to enter into crazy land. As you may or may not know, she is the voice of Penny, who is Bolt's owner, and John Travolta is the voice of Bolt. Miley was just starting to break out and be a free teenage type person. So I think a lot of people were put off by Miley Cyrus being the voice in this children's movie when she was kind of breaking out and breaking away from Disney and being kind of rebellious. The other reason is because another movie came out that year in 2008, a little movie called WALL-E, and it took all the attention away from Bolt. People lost their minds over WALL-E. This little robot that falls in love with this other robot beats out this movie about this heartwarming movie about a dog and his girl and the sadness and the tears and the So I blame WALL-E. But we're also seeing a pattern here, which I think is really interesting, because two of the movies on my list were outdone by their own studio. Even though Disney Pixar is different from Disney itself, Disney Pixar would release a movie the same year as a Disney film, and then the Pixar film would sweep the Disney movie off of its feet. So I don't know if that was intentional or if they thought both movies could kind of both be on the same level, but almost every year that a Pixar and a Disney movie come out at the same time, the Pixar movie sweeps the Disney movie. So, my number one underrated children's movie in the world is Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. Now, do you guys even remember this movie? It was so good. It was the movie about a horse named Spirit who was born in the Cimarron Valley, which is in, like, I don't know, New Mexico or something. He is a wild horse, but he's captured by these cowboy type people, and they want to train him and break him and make him into a riding horse for the soldiers. And he won't take that shit. So he meets a nice little Lakota boy, and hijinks ensue. There's beautiful music by Bryan Adams. There's beautiful imagery. The animation itself is just pristine. You can see every muscle in the horse's legs when they run. Their hair is flowing, and it's amazing animation by DreamWorks. Now, this movie got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is really low. So why didn't it do so well? But my only thought is that the most obvious reason, because the horses in this movie didn't speak. Yep, you heard it right. An animated cartoon animal movie where the animals don't speak. They did it so well that the animals didn't need to speak, and I thought that was really refreshing from your, everyday jive-talking animal characters. Spirit, whenever he needed to express something, you could see it in his eyes and his body language, and there's even a female horse that he meets along the way named Rain, and you can see her. She reminds me of Lisa Kudrow, and she's very like, And whenever Spirit does need to speak, Matt Damon is his voice and is kind of in his head and narrating the story, essentially. What do you think of these 5 movies, and what do you think is the reasoning that they're not as remembered anymore? Feel free to name below your favorite underrated movies. They don't have to necessarily be animated, but let me know your favorite underrated movies down in the comments below, and I will see you next time.